Welcome to The Route to Revenue, two entrepreneurs sharing the path to curbside cash flow. I'm Ben.
And I'm Mike. We're both founders of two successful recurring revenue businesses in the home services industry, and we've built our companies from startup to profitable and scalable operations.
This is the show for entrepreneurs serious about building sustainable home service businesses. Whether you're starting out, scaling up, or ready to move beyond trading time for money, we share proven strategies for creating predictable monthly revenue streams.
And while our expertise comes from the bin cleaning industry, the systems and principles we discuss work for any recurring revenue home service. Think lawn care, pest control, pool maintenance, and beyond.
Each episode, we break down real-world strategies for customer acquisition, retention, operational efficiency, and building systems that generate consistent income while you step back from daily operations.
Are you ready to transform your home service businesses from a demanding job into a profitable asset? This is The Route to Revenue.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Route to Revenue. I'm Ben Magee with Green Can Cleaner, and I'm here with Mike Walker from Spiffy Bin. Mike, what are we talking about today?
Ben, sometimes we plan our episodes out far in advance. Weeks sometimes. And then other times we have a Friday from hell and it elicits a good response and a need for an episode. And that's kind of what today is. So,
you know what I like most about today's episode, Mike?
It has nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm.
It's calling you out and it has nothing to do with me. Although I will say that I could have had the same Friday. So
yeah.
What we're talking about today.
So we're going to talk about what every home service operator needs to know about DOT compliance. So that sounds really, really fun, right?
That sounds like a great episode.
Great episode.
Don't you have to be a trucking company? I mean, we just clean trash cans, Mike.
I thought so. I thought you had to have a CDL. I thought like if you had a CDL, you ran into problems. I thought if you had a truck over 26,000 pounds, that's when you start to worry about this stuff. I thought when you were doing federal interstate, not intrastate, figure that out and don't say those words too fast. I thought once you did interstate and you went from here to, North Carolina, then you'd have to do stuff. I didn't realize it was as critical as it was. And then once I did know, which we'll get into that story in a little bit, it still took me 10, 15 minutes of clickety-clacking on the interwebs to find out where that applied to my business or our businesses. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And this is kind of a little bit of a primer to our episode either next week or the week after, where we're going to bring in a safety, I don't know if he's called an engineer. What would we call him?
To clarify, I mean, I've got a good friend that this is what he does is DOT and safety compliance. And so he's been gracious enough to tell us that he'd come on the show. I mean, hopefully he shows up.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we'll do. I don't think either one of us, we had planned on having John on, and really, I don't think that either one of us knew that this was going to come up as quickly as it did, but now it's here and you had the Friday from hell and it's time to talk about it.
I think so. So we're recording this on a Tuesday. And I'd gotten a call on Friday right around this time. It was about 10:30 in the morning. And it was from one of my drivers, and he said, "Hey, I just got pulled over." And I said, "Okay, what did you do?" And he said, "Well, I was leaving a neighborhood, and I hadn't put my seatbelt on, and I got pulled over." I said, "Oh, well, that's not good. You should always wear your seatbelt. Like that probably would have prevented all of this." And he says, "Well, then they're doing a DOT inspection, and I don't have a medical card." And I said, "Oh, well, that's interesting because you don't, as far as I know, you don't need a medical card until you get to 26,000 pounds or heavier." And then he said, "And because I don't have a medical card, they're going to put the truck out of service and they're going to tag it and it can't move. And oh yeah, there were a couple tires that need to be replaced." So that made my Friday, which I was going to run out and go do some stops and kind of make it easy. It made it a lot.
You were headed to the boat, weren't you, Mike?
No comment. I don't know if Andres is listening to this or not. So, no, I was not at that time.
You were not headed.
Yeah. So long story short, your day can go from going pretty smooth to immediate, oh my gosh, in a phone call. And that's kind of something you got to be prepared for, a little bit. And perhaps if I had done, what do they call it? Proper planning, piss poor results or something like that. There's some saying that goes along with that. But to be fair, like I said, after I found out that this was kind of a requirement, I looked for 10, 15 minutes before I could find it. And then I call my best friend Ben here, and I say, "Hey Ben, did you know I needed to have a medical card in Georgia?" It's like, we don't in Colorado. And what did I do then?
You're going to throw me under the bus, aren't you, Mike?
under the Zuzu cab over, yes. And so I proceeded to then find for Ben that he also has the same regulation. So anyways, so what had happened was I had to then go collect my driver, and he was gonna put him out of service in a Publix, which is a grocery store chain around here, and in a parking lot, because then it wouldn't be on the main road, and then I would have to get a tow truck to tow it to the tire shop to do the tire replacement, or they'd have to bring tires or what. I don't know how they would have done it. And so the good thing about being a business owner, or one of the good things about me at least, is I kind of try to think a little bit outside of the box. And I said, okay, so you're going to let him drive it to Publix? And he said, yep. And I said, is there any shop maybe you could put him out of service at, I don't know, say like the tire shop, so that I would have to have it towed? And he's like, yeah, well, how far is it? And I'm like, oh, hold on. And I clickety clack, and I find out it's 6.5 miles or 12 minutes. And he goes, yeah, I could do that. So, I mean, to be fair, I think another lesson, right, is if you're respectful and cordial and, whatever, I think they're willing to work with you. So what I learned after the fact was he didn't just put him on. I thought he was going to give him the paperwork and say, you're out of service at Lanier Tire. Turns out what he did is he kept the driver's ID, drove behind the truck the whole way, and then proceeded to put him out of service and throw a nice orange sticker across the front of the truck, the windshield rather, and indicated all the things that I had to do in this nice 2-page document, which one would call a warning document, I guess. So yeah, it was an enlightening day. So then I proceeded to I got the tires started at the tire shop, had them doing those, took my driver, and he and myself went and got a medical card initiated and delivered. And then we went back and got the truck about an hour and a half or so later, maybe even, more than that. Hour and a half, probably 2 hours later. And he got on his route and I got on my route. And it was not the day we were hoping for, but ultimately we just like every other day that happens that doesn't go the way we want it to go, we got through it and moved on. So yeah.
Well, that was fun. What others did you find? Any other secrets while you were looking at this? Is there anything else that we should know about?
Well, so what I learned is, they've got this Federal Motor Carrier SA, whatever that is, something association. So it's a FMCSA, and that pretty much mandates all of your interstate stuff. So you're going between states. And it's broader than you think, and it requires different things. And, vehicles over 26,000 pounds, which is what was in my head, required the CDL. And other states, but what I didn't know is other states have intrastate DOT rules. So within your state, and many things, mirror that. So it again applies to 26,000 pounds or heavier. You need to have a CDL. But then there's other things that require after you get above 10,000 pounds. And that's where really it came into effect for us. So our trucks are rated, and it's only what it's rated for. It doesn't matter what you're carrying, but it's rated for 14.5 for these Isuzu cab overs, 14,500 pounds. And so once you hit that number, once you hit over 10,000, you've got to have this medical card. So, and it's easy. I mean, the place I went to was $75 for each of us. Excuse me. And, they do blood pressure. You pee in a cup. They check your, medicines you may be taking. And then you're either you're either not approved, I guess, or you're approved for 1 year, or most people are approved for 2 years. So it's pretty simple. It's another step, another, amount. But then I also learned I've got to have DOT numbers on my truck. I have a DOT number because I got one from the beginning, but I just never put them on the truck. Because again, it's not 26,000 pounds. I don't need them. Well, turns out you do. Anything over that 10,000, and they got to be on both sides of the truck. And they got to be in, decent sized letters. I think he said 1.5 inches, but he would have to look it up. And I said, well, trying to be the nice guy. So, no, I'll take care of it. I'll look it up. But yeah, I mean, and he talked about the importance of it all. And I get it. At the end of the day, if one of us has a seizure or has a diabetic this or a sleep apnea that, it can cause a real bad headache. I mean, this was a headache, but nothing like it could have been if it turns out that the driver's not medically qualified. So
yeah, could be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, well, that sounds like quite the Friday.
It was. It was.
I will say that it's fortunate that you're not a single operator, because imagine if you were a single operator, you're there, he's going to put the truck out of service. Now you've got to figure out transportation. You've got to figure out, the logistics go way down because you have you and 2 drivers.
Right. 100%. I was able to, I was at the shop. I managed to clickety clack, find the place, do what I needed to do, figure out the rules. And then in that time they were shuffling from one part of the county to the truck center. And then, the driver, I had called the truck center and said, hey, can you get this truck started with whatever tires it needs? And then I was able to pick him up, go do our thing 20 minutes away, and turn back around and drop him back off, and away we went. So could it have been a lot worse? Yeah, 100%. Could, yeah, 100%. And ultimately it's, it's for the better now. I think ultimately we'll feel better about it here in a little bit, but then, we talk about all these other episodes of the, the pricing and different things like that. The good thing was I didn't sweat the $75. I didn't sweat the $800 in tires. Like that kind of stuff. Right. So I think it's all just another step and another link in your business that ultimately you've got to make sure is all operating on all cylinders. And so the only hiccup was that the cop, caught us that day, if you will, and gave us some education. And I'm sure we're going to learn a lot when we talk to John about other things. But yeah, so there's some qualifications that they have to take care of. The drivers have to take care of. But in our situation with lighter duty trucks, it's not a CDL, so it's not nearly as big a deal or as much you have to jump through. But this medical card is one of the things. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Is anybody building a truck to do this over 26,000 pounds? I know there's some trucks out there that are, massive. I think, wasn't John Conway telling us about building like some, 1,500 gallon?
He makes one that's large. He also does that one, but I think that's still under CDL. The side loader one, he's got one of those funky ones. The guy in Michigan, he builds like a titanium, platinum, I don't know, he's got all sorts of precious metals in his trucks, or at least those are the models that he uses when he names them. He builds them, but I think his are all under 26 because everybody, and at the end of the day, the problem is you hire somebody that does our job and it's dirty and whatnot, you pay a little bit of a premium because they're not just doing Amazon deliveries. And then, boy, if you had to throw a CDL guy in there, a lot of those guys, I don't want to say prima donna out loud, but a lot of the CDL guys, they just want to back up to a dock and, get unloaded, and, they don't even want to touch a dolly, let alone stick their head in the trash can. So I can only imagine what it would look like to try to hire somebody, that's got a CDL. So staying under that 26,000 pounds makes a whole lot of sense in many different things. Not to mention, we're just doing trash bin cleaning. Like, at the end of the day, this 14,500 pound workhorse, I call it, can do a lot of stuff, and it doesn't have to be bigger. At least the way we've constructed our business. So, but yeah. So it was a day. Not every day is going to be smooth and simple and easy. But have you ever had any kind of an audit or anything like that? Do you have DOT numbers? I don't want to call you out on the air, but why not?
Well, I mean, I'll be really honest, until and you know this, until you talked to me the other day when I got that phone call from Mike, hey, you're not going to believe what happened to me today. I mean, I thought that I was fine not having, I mean, do I have a DOT number? Yes, because when I went to register a truck, they misclassified it and told me that I had to have it. And, I mean, there's no sense in fighting with the DMV. So, I went down that road, and then, I don't know, eventually it got straightened out, but, they were trying to hold me to the classification of 26,000 or more, and I wasn't. And so, eventually I went in and was like, okay, I've got all this stuff, but I don't think I need it. And they looked at me, oh, no, you don't. And sorry we had you do that. You know, Sorry about it. It was just, the hours, and yeah. Um, anyway, so for me, do I have a DOT number? Yes, I do. Until that conversation with you, I didn't think that I needed. We do have a drug and alcohol testing program that we use because, and you and I have talked about this, because we send people to people's homes. We want to know who we're sending, and we want to make sure that they're not drunk or on drugs or anything like that. And so, we have that program in place, but I did not think that it was required for our drivers. As a matter of fact, when you sent me the text that said, "Oh, look, I found this in Colorado," I was I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And so here's my beef, Mike, and I'm just going to put this out there, and hopefully the DOT doesn't come after me for it. I mean, I guess we don't have enough listeners to really worry about that yet. I mean, what are we up to, 5 or 6?
Yeah, I think a couple dropped
So,
off.
oh, uh-oh. Yeah. Did Ariana quit listening?
Yeah, right.
So, but they keep these things secret. I mean, why can't they just put the rules out there and say, here it is, and it's clear, and it's easy, and it's cut and dried, and at this weight, you need these things. I mean, things vary by state, things vary by weight, they vary. I mean, keeping track of it is just
Full-time
tough.
job.
It's a full-time job. And that's where I actually plan to have a conversation with John about if he'll take on my fleet and start doing all of this for me. Because
And I'll tell you, if you want a lot of spam calls, all you have to do is register for your DOT numbers. Because I remember when I did that several years ago. Holy cow!
Well, and these guys are good at. I mean,
Yeah.
oh, this is from the DOT, and then you get reading, and it's like, no, it's not from the DOT.
Yeah. And it'll say, this is not a bill at the bottom. And it's like, but it sure looks like sorry. Sure as heck looks like a bill. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy to see it. When you file for a DOT number, the car warranty calls look like nothing compared to the calls that you're going to get based on your DOT.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I'd love to go back to the car warranty calls.
Yeah.
So.
Well, awesome. Well, I think this was it's supposed to be a quick episode. It's just a little bit of a primer for what we're doing with John next week or the week after. So in essence, take a look at your placard on the side of your door when you open up the door. What's the gross, vehicle weight rating? And if it's over 10,000 pounds or you have employees driving, you're going to want to check your regulations and take a bit of time to look it up. Or you can just look around at other trucks that are similar to yours, landscaping trucks. If they've got DOT numbers on it, most likely you've got to have DOT numbers on it. Don't think because you're driving a pickup truck, you're absolved of that. You put a pickup truck and you're towing something. What's the total weight? That kind of thing. And that's easily going to be over 10,000 pounds when you're carrying, 400 or 500 gallons worth of water. So, but yeah.
I love it. That's a great action step, Mike. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, good deal. I'll let you take my line then.
Well, I don't know if I'm capable of that, but let me give it a try. So, okay, everyone, that's a wrap on this episode of The Route to Revenue. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Well, Ben, that's a wrap on another episode of The Route to Revenue. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you would hit like, subscribe, and leave us old guys a comment about what we did well. And if we did anything wrong, can it and keep it to yourself.
If today's strategy sparked some ideas for your business, don't keep them to yourself. Share this episode with a fellow entrepreneur who could benefit from these insights.
Remember, building a recurring revenue business, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Take one actionable step from today's discussion and implement it in your business this week.
Want to connect with us between episodes? Find us on Facebook or at our website. We'd love to hear how you're applying these concepts in your own home service business.
And until next time, keep building those recurring revenue streams and stay on the route to revenue.
The route to revenue.
Nice, Ben.